My 21-year-old daughter told me yesterday that she feels like her whole life is nothing but side quests. And that got me thinking this morning. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it, right? It's His day, as is every single day. But let's not only remember to celebrate it, let's also let Him continue to be the Lord of it. Now, I know you've got plans, but what if your plan A isn't God's plan for the day after all? Luke 17, starting in verse 11, says, on the way to Jerusalem, Jesus was passing along between Samaria and Galilee. As he entered a village, he was met by 10 lepers who stood at a distance and lifted up their voices, saying, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. When he saw them, he said to them, go and show yourselves to the priests. And as they went, they were cleansed. Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem. That was his plan A. But the lepers, they were the blessed side quest. Matthew 5:23, Jesus meets Jairus, who says, my little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her so that she may be made well and live. And he went with him. And a great crowd followed him and thronged about him. And there was a woman who had had a discharge of blood for 12 years and who had suffered much under many physicians and who had spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard reports about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, if I touch even his garments, I will be made well. And immediately the flow of blood dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Jesus was on his way to heal the daughter, but the woman, she was the blessed side quest. John chapter 4, we see Jesus resting at a well, and then he revealed his gospel truth to the Samaritan woman who had then went and evangelized to her whole village. Luke 19, Jesus was just passing through Jericho, and on his way to Jericho, who knows what he was there to do, but then he sees Zacchaeus. And he has this impromptu rendezvous with this tax collector. And Jesus said that salvation has come to his house. Mark 10, as he was leaving Jericho, blind Bartimaeus simply becomes Bartimaeus as he cries out from the roadside, and Jesus restores his sight. Luke 7, on his way to Nain, he turned a funeral into a celebration as he brought a widow's only son back to life. Matthew 15, as he was leaving Tyre and Sidon, he freed a demon-possessed Canaanite woman. Mark 1, while teaching in the synagogue, a demon-possessed man interrupted him and he was healed. Luke 13, as he was teaching in the synagogue, he noticed a woman that was bent over and he stopped and healed her disability. In Acts 3, Peter and John, on their way to the temple for prayer, they were interrupted by a disabled and poor man looking for money. They stopped and they healed him. I know you have a plan today. I know you've got your to-do list, and it feels like there's a lot that's riding on that list, right? You got to meet that deadline. You got to make it to that appointment. You can't be late for that meeting. But the word reminds us that we make our plans, but the Lord orders our steps. Will you take time to go with God on a side quest today? And who knows, like many of the stories I just shared from the greatest collection of books ever written, what if it's the side quest and not plan A that is to be remembered for eternity? Be blessed and be a blessing, and keep living for God's glory. Peace.